Welcome everybody. I'm getting ready to go on another cruise, as I just talked about in the last episode of this podcast. I actually just got finished filling out my luggage tags, which I'm going to talk to you about in today's episode. And in fact, I want to give you the best tips, the best tricks to getting ready for your cruise vacation and to make the most at sea, because there is so much to do, so much to see, and so much to plan when it comes to your cruise vacation. And I have a ultimate guide, part 2 of planning your cruise vacation, starting right now on the Strength, Yoga, and Freedom podcast. So I just mentioned before the introduction that yes, I'm going on a cruise later on this week. It's not that far away, and I wanted to kind of talk to you. I thought it was a great time to do this 2-part episode about planning your cruise vacation. Now, in the last video or audio version of this podcast, whichever you watched or listened to, we talked a lot about some basic cruise terminology. We talked all about the reasons why you would pick the certain ships you might be picking, or the particular itinerary, the destinations, where's your home port going to come out of. And we talked about some of the costs that are going to be in play when it comes to the additional charges that you might face beyond your cruise fare, which is generally what you see advertised. And I also want to remind everybody that we're talking about all cruise lines kind of in a broad way. I am particularly myself a Norwegian cruise line traveler, but a lot of the things that I'm giving to you, these tips, they can be implemented on virtually any cruise line. However, you always want to make sure, as I said in the last video, and I will say it again, you always want to make sure you're checking your cruise line's specifications when it comes to anything regarding planning, packing, what you can bring, how you're going to be booking things, what you're going to be doing on board, the various activities, and so on. So always check with your particular cruise line. So now that we've talked all about the planning and the logistics in those planning stages and what to expect with regards to budget and so forth, let's get into some more tips to get you the best vacation possible. We're gonna get right into it. Let's start with number 1. And that is book as much as you can ahead of time. So this includes shore excursions, drink packages, shows, events that are going on your ship, spa treatments perhaps, in-room treats. Maybe you'd like to have a bottle of sparkling wine or champagne or another beverage waiting for you in your room when you arrive, or maybe you're celebrating something and you'd like to have something delivered to your room on embarkation day or to someone else's room. So having all of that done ahead of time is a big time saver, especially for embarkation day, because really, as I talked about embarkation day on the last episode, it can be a little stressful. But it's also one of the most fun days of your cruise. So you really want to make sure that when you're getting on board, you're not spending your whole first afternoon with tasks and things that you have to get squared away and put in place. So you can really just start to relax and enjoy your cruise vacation. And so really planning ahead with those things like those in-room treats, the spa packages or spa treatments, drink packages, shows, all of that stuff. If you can book that stuff ahead of time, Wi-Fi packages is another one that might be good for you to book ahead of time. And a lot of times you're going to save some money when you do this. But another one is specialty dining. If your cruise ship is going to be at capacity, which now most cruise lines are reporting that they're sailing at capacity, sometimes even above capacity, which means there might be more than 2 people in one stateroom and the ships are really sailing full. You want to make sure you have your specialty dining reservations under your belt before you even go. So a lot of times people will just, as I mentioned, they'll just get on the ship and go, oh boy, now I can relax. And then maybe the second or third day comes around and they want to do something and it's either sold out or booked out, or there's no seating or no open availability for whatever you're trying to do left. So especially if you're on these big mega ships with thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So the cruise lines do a really, really nice job of trying to manage the crowd, but it's really, really important to make sure you're booking things ahead of time. And again, it could save you money. Sometimes it's 10, maybe 15% off of what you might see when you get on board. The exception to that might be the Wi-Fi package, depending on what cruise line you're on. Some cruise lines, what they'll do is logistically, as you're going through, maybe the first day passes, the second day passes, the third, and you really didn't get Wi-Fi, but now you're like, I want to add the Wi-Fi on. It's probably going to be a lot cheaper once you're, 3 days in than it is the first day, because you're only using it for a certain period of time. So that's probably going to decrease. But as far as if you need it for your whole cruise or want it for your whole cruise, it's really best to book a lot of these things ahead of time, specifically that Wi-Fi, drink packages, specialty dinings, all of that good stuff. It's going to save you time. It's going to save you money. And you also want to make sure that when you're doing that booking, you have done your online check-in on your cruise line app or the cruise line website as soon as it is available. And the reason you want to do this is because then number one, you can print those luggage tags up. But the second thing you could be doing is you could be going in and you could be getting all of that documentation into the system, your passport information, perhaps birth certificate or whatever else you need for your documentation. You also, with a lot of cruise lines now, you are putting your method of payment for your onboard account on when you do your online check-in, because then when you get to the cruise terminal and you're ready to do check-in, it's much faster, it's much smoother. There's not as much to do at that check-in at the check-in desk when you're at the cruise terminal. And another thing when you do that, when you're booking when you're doing your online check-in rather ahead of time, is you are going to then be assigned a spot to arrive at the cruise terminal. And the earlier you do your online check-in, the earlier spot you're going to have for your arrival at the cruise terminal. So the earlier you get to the cruise terminal, most likely the earlier you are going to get onto the ship. So let's move on from kind of that booking ahead of time, getting that online check-in done, to the next step, which is packing. Now, I have some great packing tips for you and some great things that you can bring on your cruise with you, and some tips and tricks to help keep your kind of cabin space functional and less crammed and feeling like you're kind of like scrunched in there, especially if you have a smaller maybe studio room or an inside room or maybe an ocean view room. Even some of the balconies on some of these cruise ships are only 200 to 250 square feet, so they are not that big. So let's talk about packing. Number one, when it comes to packing, you may have heard this out there before if you've watched any kind of planning for any kind of packing of any kind. People are using packing cubes. And I have to tell you, packing cubes are amazing for cruise vacations. And here's why. When you're on a cruise vacation, many times you are going to be wearing way more outfits and dressing for way different type of weather than you would when you are at home. At home, you might wear maybe 1 to 2 different outfits a day. Maybe you're wearing something to work and something after work. On a cruise vacation, you are going to be wearing things at night. You're going to be wearing things potentially in the morning. You might be wearing something onto your shore excursion. You might be wearing something then to lay around at the pool, then changing into your evening wear. Then you might want to be wearing something more relaxed. I mean, you could potentially, I've been on cruise where I've changed 3 or 4 times in one day. Generally, we're not doing that as much at home, right? Maybe just a little bit of changing, but there's way more stuff going on with the clothes. So when we're talking about packing cubes, it just keeps things more organized. You have maybe all of your underwear and undergarments in one. You have your formal stuff potentially in garment bags, or you have your dressier things folded up neatly into another packing cube. You might have your beach stuff in another one. However it works, you might put your toiletries somewhere, but packing cubes are critical. Number 2, are you bringing formal wear? I mean, does your cruise line have 1 or 2 or maybe more nights of formal wear where they encourage dressing up, and maybe you're going to be taking photos, or you're making it a kind of a dressy night out for you and your partner or your spouse or perhaps your family, or maybe you and your friends are going to have a night out on the cruise ship and you're going to be dressy and fun. Are you bringing formal wear? Maybe your cruise line is like Norwegian, where I go on Norwegian, and it's more of, you kind of have a smart casual dress code, but there's no need for dressy nights if you don't want to. So I don't pack a lot of formal wear, if any formal wear anymore, because that's not my intended goal on my recent cruises and my upcoming cruises. So think about that. Are you bringing formal wear? And speaking of formal wear, another packing tip is to bring wrinkle release spray. You can get Downy, you can get your favorite off-brand, you can get it at your local Dollar General or Dollar Tree or Family Dollar store. And when you pack this, that it will help you because you cannot use irons on a cruise unless it is part of the cruise line's laundrette. So some cruise lines do have a laundrette where you can go and do some laundry, and they might have a specific iron that you can use that has safety mechanisms to it. But bringing your own iron or steamer is not permitted on any cruise line because they are fire hazards. So it's a highly, highly suggested item to bring wrinkle release. It's such a lifesaver. I love bringing that with me on my cruises. Medication. When it comes to medication, the cruise lines are starting to recommend that you bring at least 2 to 3 additional weeks of medication beyond the length of your cruise. If your cruise is 1 week, they might suggest to bring 3 to 4 weeks of medication. And that's not to say that you're going to be stuck at sea. We're not saying that. But what we're saying here is it never hurts to be prepared. There could be a potential that you could lose something. You're just not as accessible to your local pharmacy. So bring extra because you just never know. I had this happen one time. I forgot my inhaler, and thank God I had another one packed and ready to go. So I had my inhaler. There's also been times where I have packed my inhaler and I would get halfway through and I didn't have any puffs left. Because as you're getting ready and as you're packing and as you're doing things, again, it's just for your safety and your protection for your body and the way you're going to be in the way you need to stay healthy with your medications. Always pack that additional 2 to 3 weeks of medication just for that peace of mind. Another big one that you might have heard people talk about with cruises is magnet hooks. Magnet hooks, you can get them anywhere. I like to order mine on Amazon. I generally get the ones that can hold maybe 40 to 50 pounds or more, because then I can hang backpack from there. I can hang lanyard or maybe a hat, so I can hang light things. I can hang heavier things. I can hang wet things. You don't want to hang things on your balcony because the sea will blow them away. And it's also a fire hazard to hang things from your balcony, as things could get blown into the wrong place and you never know what could happen with that. So we always are careful about leaving things on balconies. So you want to maybe have those additional hooks. They're going to save you space. The magnet hooks on most cruise ships will hook directly onto the walls of the cabin because they are metal. Now, on the same vein, you can be bringing towel clips. That's another one. You may see these at your local pool or at your water park that you go to, but on the cruise, they're great too because there's lots of wind. And when you have breezes going and you're trying to put the towel over the beach chair, it could be flying around. It's wet and it gets scrunched up. Towel clips are great for the back of your chairs to hold your belongings in place, even when you're sitting down. Trust me, I've been sitting and the wind is blowing and the towel is blowing all over in the back of my head and onto my face. Okay, it's just annoying. So the towel clips are really super helpful and they're super affordable. Another one that's great for your cruise cabin is an over-the-door organizer. Many times these are advertised or marketed as over-the-door shoe organizers. So they are big enough to fit pairs of shoes in, but you can fit everything in them. You can fit your toiletries in there. You could fit maybe some clean clothes that you want to have ready for you in the morning or in your evening time. You can pack and put things in there that you might need to grab, like sunblock quickly, or aloe, or lotion. Anything really is going to fit. I sometimes put medication in those. I put things I don't want to lose because I know it's going to be right there. And another reason why this is so great is, again, it is a space saver. So just like the magnet hooks, you are going to have something against a wall or a bathroom wall so that less stuff's on the floor, less stuff is on your bed and your couch or your chairs. You are not going to have a lot of space. So be sure that you really get that over-the-door organizer hung up. It's amazing for organization. Lanyards, I mentioned lanyards. Some cruisers love to buy lanyards ahead of time. They might put their key card in the lanyard. They might put their wallet or their cash or their credit card if they're going on a short excursion, or their ID. So it's really, really important. If you like to have that accessible right there with you, lanyards are great. Luggage tag holders. I talked about the luggage tags. Generally, you're going to print luggage tags out on a big piece of printer paper, and then you're going to be folding them up. And then when you fold them up, you can stick them into your luggage tag holders and then attach them to your suitcase. Every cruise line is going to give you luggage tags either when you do your online check-in or shortly after. You might get emailed with them or a link to print them. Some cruise lines still send them. Most do not anymore. But you used to get them in the mail. Now we're just printing them out at home. So I generally print out one per bag. Even if I have a backpack that I'm carrying on with me or a carry-on suitcase, I still attach a luggage tag to it just in case. And then I print out one additional tag per bag that I'm bringing. This next trip, I'm bringing 2 bags. I'm printing 4 luggage tags. Motion sickness medication is another great one to pack. Over-the-counter pain medication, cold medication if you get a stuffy nose or you have something going on with your throat, perhaps a stomach soothing medication because you're going to be eating or drinking a lot differently than you do at home. So you may want to have something to settle your stomach those first few days. And again, you might want to be bringing things that have electrolytes. They sell electrolyte tablets. If you plan or you are a drinker of a lot of alcohol and you want to keep that electrolytes flowing, maybe the electrolyte tablets are great to have to supplement your water intake. So I recommend all of those things. Dramamine is I've seen people take, people put patches on the back of their ears. And so you know yourself well enough to know, do you get motion sickness? Are you maybe nervous you will get motion sickness? If so, always grab onto that motion sickness medicine. Another one is your embarkation day carry-on bag. Now, the reason I'm talking about this as a packing hack is because if you remember in the last episode, I talked to you about what happens when you arrive at the cruise terminal. And when you arrive at the cruise terminal, you are going to hand over to the folks who, we call them the porters, that's their name, and you pass off that checked luggage to the porters, and then the porters will then get your luggage through the ship security and onto the ship, and then the room attendants and the rest of the crew bring your suitcase to your stateroom. So you are not going to have any of anything in your checked bag until sometimes after the ship has set sail. So you want to have with you an embarkation day carry-on bag, and you may prep this before you go and stick it inside of your suitcase, or you might get it ready the night before in your hotel or the morning of embarkation day. That way you have that. You want your medication in there. You want your passport, your ID. You want your boarding pass in there. You want everything you're going to need for the day with you so that you don't have to wait around until maybe 5 or 6 o'clock maybe in the afternoon for your luggage to arrive to your stateroom. Perhaps a change of clothes, maybe things to freshen up, maybe some hygiene stuff. So it's great to have in your embarkation day carry-on bag all the essentials you need. That's a really, really big one. And nothing that will hold you up from getting on the ship. So don't pack your passport or your wallet in your checked bag. Always bring your cords and your chargers. I have a case that I put all of my electronic chargers, cords, and anything else, headphones, portable battery chargers is another one. Everything in one spot so that you have all of your stuff charged up. Everything's in one spot. And again, it's easy to find, especially if you're going to a pre-cruise hotel and you just need to take that out for the night to charge things. And then it goes back and packed up again. And maybe that's what you have in your carry-on bag when you get on the ship. Always have your chargers, your cords, your portable batteries. Another one is when you're dealing with your clothes, as I mentioned earlier, when we're talking about the amount of outfits you're going to wear, always plan for all types of weather, even if you're going on a warm weather cruise. And also, even if you're going on a colder weather cruise, like a cruise to Alaska, you still could potentially be getting warmer weather with sunshine in Alaska and want to be swimming. And if you did not pack your swimsuit or your bathing suits or whatever you or your shorts or whatever you use to swim in, and here you are with this really nice day and you don't have one, you're going to be either using other clothes or you're going to be stuck going to buy one on the ship, which is costly, or in port. So it's important to remember to make sure that you have your clothes for all weather. And on the opposite side of that, you may want to make sure you have a rain jacket or potentially a hoodie or heavier jacket, because sometimes nights are colder than the daytime. You might get up in the morning. Maybe you're a person who gets up early and you're you're in a sea day and you're out there at 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning and the sun's just coming up and there's a cool breeze. You may not want to just be out there in a tank top and shorts. You may want to have something a little bit warmer. So even in the warmer climates, watch out for weather changes. The same goes for shoes. You're not just wearing flip-flops the whole time. You might be wearing your sneakers or your boots or any other comfortable walking shoe for your shore excursions, for your embarkation day, for your disembarkation day. And if you are doing exercise or you're going to be doing something that requires comfort for your feet, you want to be having and wearing those comfortable walking shoes. And you may bring Crocs maybe, and those are sometimes good for versatility. You might be bringing shoes that are more formal for formal wear. So again, it's remembering all shoes, all types of situations, same goes for your clothes. Now here's another really great trick. Ziploc bags or plastic bags or freezer bags. The Ziploc bags and the freezer bags, here's where they're really good to use for. Let's say you are going to be at the pool for the day and you go to the buffet in the morning and you're having breakfast and you're eating, but you see some things that you may want to nibble on later, like some granola, or maybe there's some cheese or some fruit or something else. You may potentially go back to your stateroom and kind of stick that in there and let it stay in that little mini fridge. And then when you come back from the pool, or maybe you take a little break and you just run to your stateroom and run back, you've got these little snacks. They're great also for late night when the buffet is closed and maybe you don't want to go sit down in the pub that's serving food all night long, or maybe you don't want to order the room service and pay the surcharge and you just want a little something to nibble on. Those Ziploc bags are great for taking snacks, and they're great if your kids need a snack. If you're dealing with plastic bags, those are great for those days where you have wet clothes and you need to put them into something. You've changed your clothes while you're on shore and you need to put them into a plastic bag so that you're not putting all your wet clothes in your backpack or your other bag that you're carrying from the shore back onto the ship, and you want the wet to stay away from the dry. So plastic bags, and they're also good for trash in your stateroom. If you have a lot of people, or maybe you're throwing a lot of things away and the little tiny trash bins aren't big enough, plastic bags are certainly a lifesaver. Another one that I bring a lot is first aid stuff like Band-Aids, Neosporin, maybe some cortisone, some Benadryl for anti-itching. What do you think you might need for first aid? Eye drops, allergy nose spray. What could you bring for first aid in the event that you were to have something happen to you that you know is going to make you uncomfortable for a little while? You get a scrape, you are on a shore excursion and you cut something. It's just nice to have those available and ready to go. They're not very big, the little first aid stuff. Throw them in your bag, maybe in your carry-on bag, so that it's right there with you. And again, sunscreen and aloe, protect yourself from the sun. Even in Alaska, you are going to need sunblock. Bring your camera, bring your binoculars if you like to sit for a while or stand and watch the sea, or you're watching a particular sail away, or you're watching the ship pull into a brand new port and you want to zoom in on some things. Bring the binoculars. Cameras, if you use your phone as a camera, I do that, great. But some people like to bring their cameras that have better lenses or interchangeable lenses. So if that's something you like, bring those with you as well. Bring extra contact lenses. That's another big one. If you're a contact lens wearer like I am, and something happens and one rips or one falls or one gets accidentally thrown in the garbage, you want extra contact lenses, just like your medication. You always want extra. And the other thing I'm going to tell you and give you this tip is when you get into your stateroom, put your suitcase under the bed and unpack your stuff out and put it away. Because if you're on a ship for a long period of time, you want it to feel very at home. You are on vacation. You paid a lot of money for this vacation. Use the storage space. Surprisingly, There is a ton of storage space on most of these cruise ships and most of these cabins. Look around in the cabins. You'll find little nooks and crannies and drawers and cupboards and shelves that you didn't even know were there. Look everywhere because there's plenty of space to store things. So always get those suitcases unpacked after you get them and put the empty suitcases under the bed so that, again, they're not leaving big, bulky things on the floor and you're trying to move around in your cabin and it's difficult to do that. So those are my favorite packing tips. Let's talk now about when you get on the ship and your embarkation day and some disembarkation day tips. So number one, when it comes to embarkation day, is make sure you complete your muster drill or your assembly drill as soon as you can. Again, most cruise ships do this as an e-muster now, where you're watching a safety video and then you go to that muster station or assembly station to check in, and they show you how to put a life jacket on. You need to do this. Everybody needs to complete this before the cruise leaves. So it's pretty literally the first thing I do when I get on is I get that muster drill done. Again, if you have not done your pre-booking of things, as soon as you get on the ship, make sure your dining reservations are there. If you have major big production shows or comedy shows or shows that your cruise line is asking you to make reservations for, get those done. Your events, if you want to see a particular event that week, or there's a particular game show you want to be a part of, or there's a particular activity you want to partake in that requires pre-registration, have that done, because generally when you get to later on in the cruise, all the activities get sold out, especially on sea days, because at port, many people are getting off during the day. But again, make sure all that stuff is done when you get on the ship. Another tip that you might have heard if you are a cruiser and have been researching, or you have been on many cruises, is avoiding the buffet on embarkation day. The reason you avoid the buffet is two reasons, I believe. Number one, everybody still has a lot of luggage with them on embarkation day because your rooms are not going to be ready. And one of the first things everybody wants to do when they get on the ship is eat. And so when you're in that buffet, and number one, everybody's got luggage with them, and number two, everybody wants to eat, imagine what the buffet is going to look like. I used to be a let's go straight to the buffet person as soon as I got on the ship. Now I avoid the buffet at all costs on embarkation day, period. I probably won't go to the buffet until the very next day, whether it's for breakfast or for lunch. So on embarkation day, I like to eat lunch in the main dining room or in a smaller restaurant, or sometimes there will be specialty dining restaurants open for lunch, and you might get them at a much lower price, or you can use one of your dining plan credits if your cruise line has that. So it's just a little less congested if you do not go to the buffet on the first day. Now, again, I've been saying your stateroom's not going to be ready, so another thing you can do when you first get on is walk around. Find everything. Even if you've been on the ship before, you need a refresher. You haven't been there for a while, so it might be a good idea to find everything. Find where the public restrooms are. Find where your room is compared to where the elevators are. Even though you can't go to your room yet, find the general the proximity. Where am I towards the elevators? Where is the buffet, in comparison to where my room is? Where are the dining rooms? Where is the shopping? Where's the main atrium? Where's guest services? Where's my Starbucks? So go about the day and find everything out. You might find and stop at a bar or a lounge, and you might stop and enjoy a nice drink and kind of take in that first day and view, and you might find a favorite spot. So look around on day one and enjoy yourself, because you are going to be running around that ship the rest of the week. Find where everything is. Debarkation. Let's talk about that. Most cruise lines do disembarkation two ways. They either offer a program that's color-coded, meaning the night before the last night of your cruise, the cruise line will say, all right, come and pick up your luggage tags, not the same luggage tags as you had when you got on. Those are gone now. Now they're going to say, all right, come down to guest services or the main atrium or somewhere on the ship, or let us know and your steward will bring them to you, whatever the cruise line does. And you'll be assigned a color, and that color-coded luggage tag will get placed onto your suitcase by you, and you will pack your suitcase. Again, this is the checked suitcase, not anything you're carrying, so nothing with documentation, nothing with your medication in, none of that. Your night before stuff all stays with you in another bag. But these bags, they go out into the hallway, and then your room steward comes, picks them up, and then when you leave the ship the next day, you are leaving at a particular time. So that 9 o'clock, they might say, okay, 9 o'clock, we are now calling green. And if you have a green tag, you're going to go off of the ship, you're going to disembark the ship, and you're going to go back into the cruise terminal where you are going to see a sea of suitcases. You will then match up your color, and maybe there's a number, maybe you have green 11 or red 18. And then you're going to find your suitcase in the sea of suitcases. That's option one. Now, cruise lines also offer walk-off, which is my favorite. So that means maybe starting at 7:30 in the morning or 8 o'clock in the morning. And this is great too if you have a flight that you need to catch when you're leaving. They will say, if you are willing to carry all your luggage off, you can start getting off at X time. And as soon as that gets called, I grab my suitcase, I grab my backpack, and off I go. The only thing with this that's annoying is that most of the elevators are slammed when it comes to disembarkation day because everybody's, doing either the walk off with all their suitcases, or they're getting called by their colors and everyone's trying to get down to the deck where you're leaving. So you might have to be okay with going down some steps, which generally I do that. I get my suitcase in my hand and I go huff it down the stairs. It's an annoying day to get off the ship anyway. You might as well take out some aggression and walk them steps. So you have those couple of options when it comes to disembarkation because you're ready to get off and get either home to the airport to get your flight, or you're getting into a shuttle that's going to take you back to your car, or you're going to your car, or whatever it is. So again, disembarkation, be prepared to either do one or the other. Either you're putting your bag out the night before or you're walking off with it. And again, just like you packed before you left, pack before you leave the ship also, because most cruise lines want you out of your stateroom sometimes as early as 8 or 8:30 in the morning. Others may let you stay until 9 or 9:30, but normally past that, everybody needs to be off unless you're doing a back-to-back cruise, so that the next round, they can do a whole sweep, and then the next round of people are coming on. And so therefore, it's really important that you already have to get up early on disembarkation day. You already have to get up early. It's going to be a travel day. It's going to be a longer day. So pack up what you need to. Even if you're not packing a suitcase the night before to leave out, pack up as much as you can so that in the morning you're just putting your last minute things in, much like you would do at home when you're leaving for the cruise. Now, during your cruise, you want to enjoy the cruise to the fullest. And so here are some things that I try to do during my cruise that make the cruise really a lot of fun and valuable for me. And I really feel happy and fulfilled when I do these things. So let's go through these list of things that you should do on a cruise, because I just think that they're so amazing. Number one, don't go crazy on day one. It is tempting. I don't necessarily mean just eating crazy. Watch the alcohol intake on day one. You might not be a heavy drinker. And so when you get on board and you're like, woo, my vacation's beginning, and the drinks start flowing, the next day is going to be painful, if your body especially is not used to that kind of alcohol. So really try to pace yourself on day one, and also ease into your cruise food. You may not want to go for everything fried the first day, or if you are generally a healthy eater, you may want to make sure you're eating salad or eating your fruits, getting in. So again, mindful about what you're doing on day one. Enjoy yourself and indulge and have desserts and things like that, but you don't have to do everything on day one. And I've learned this the hard way. I'm not saying this because I'm making it up. It's because I've done these things. So enjoy day one without going overboard. Another one that I do now that I never used to do before is I exercise. And I don't mean that I go to the ship's gym and I spend 2 hours weightlifting or doing intense cardio or taking every fitness class on the schedule. If you are someone who likes to work out and you want to do that, by all means, enjoy. It's your vacation. However, what I'm suggesting is for most of us who are going on vacation and we want to relax, a light 10-minute to 20-minute morning walk is wonderful for you. It gets your blood pumping. It gets your stomach and your bowels and your everything else moving. It gets everything moving. And remember, you're putting things into your body that you normally do not do when you're at home. So exercising in some form is important. And I don't mean just walking around the ship, because yeah, you are going to walk around the ship. Get a little bit of light exercise in that raises your heart rate up a little bit. You'll be surprised at how you feel when you do this every single day. Be sure you're drinking a lot of water throughout your cruise, especially if you're drinking a lot of alcohol and you're eating saltier foods than you're used to. Lots and lots of water. Take lots of pictures. Be sure you're taking pictures as much as you can. Get those phones, cameras charged up. Take tons of pictures. Give yourself time also for quiet and relaxation during your cruise. Take naps. Get up early if you want, but sleep in if you want. Go to bed early if you want, but stay out if you want. Balance yourself. When there's a sea day, that doesn't mean that you have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. You might sleep until 10 a.m. because you had a couple of port intense days. Get your rest. Take some relaxation time. Cruises are not just about go, 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 go. No vacation needs to just be about go, go, go. Balance your time, enjoy some quiet, go to a nice quiet spot, even if it's for 10 minutes. Relax, put your feet up, balance yourself. Very important, because trust me, I've done the opposite and it doesn't work. And then when you're talking about your kids and traveling with your kids, many cruise lines have a kids club or a kids youth program that you can enroll them in. Most of them are included with your cruise fare. Some might have an additional fee. You have to check that out. But that's another great thing to do. Enroll your kids in the kids club. It's a great place for them to meet new people. And it gives you as an adult, if you're an adult traveling, it gives you some you time as well. And I mentioned the packing and all the clothes you have to bring and all that. You might consider doing laundry or having your laundry done midway through your cruise. Many cruise lines might offer a midweek laundry special where they'll say, put all your clothes as much as you can into a bag, and for, $30 or $25 or $40 or whatever they charge, $50, you can have all the clothes. And I'm over there shoving as much as I can, rolling things up, putting things in a bag. Let me tell you, coming home from a cruise with most of my suitcase with clean clothes, it's amazing, because when you get home, my friends, you're not going to want to do anything. I'm just telling you that now. So it's really important to make sure you get that laundry in if you can. And finally, maybe visit the casino. The casino is fun. Pace yourself, maybe join a blackjack tournament, a slot tournament, join a group of people who are doing a slot pool. Sometimes those are going on. So have fun in the casino if you're a casino player. If you're a smoker or a cigar smoker, sometimes in the casinos, that's a place where you can actually smoke or vape or do whatever you want to do there. So you can actually relax and enjoy. And that's another fun thing to do. Now let's talk about what you should not do on a cruise. Those are the things that I love to do that are fun that I've done over the years. And here are some things that you should not do on a cruise. The first thing you should never do is throw anything off your balcony, ever. I talked about leaving clothes hanging. You would be surprised at what will fly off your balcony chairs or table or the railing, even when the ship is docked in port. So never leave anything on your balcony and never throw anything off your balcony. We always hear and talk about marine life and the ocean and wildlife and our planet. You don't want to throw things into the ocean, number one. And number two, it is dangerous to throw things out and it could get sucked back in, causing a major fire hazard. No throwing anything off the balcony, and cruise ships are really strict about that. You also are never to smoke on your balcony. It is another fire hazard. And it's also annoying for other people who do not want to smell cigarette smoke or who want to intake vaping next door to you. So no smoking on your balconies. Most cruise lines do not allow this. Make sure you go over the prohibited items list, so you're not bringing anything on that could be confiscated before you even get on, like a heating pad or a surge protector. Those are not permitted. Most cruise lines also only allow certain amounts of alcohol on. It might be 1 to 2 bottles of wine per person or per stateroom. Check that out so that it doesn't get confiscated. Then you have to wait till you get back. And also be aware that that could happen when you're in port and you buy alcohol. Let's say you're somewhere and you want to buy a local bottle of alcohol and you bring it on. Most of the time, they're going to take it from you. They're going to put it away, and then you'll get it back either the night before or on your very last day. So be aware that you want to check all those prohibited items so you're not surprised or shocked when you get to the cruise terminal or when you're getting back on your ship. Never, ever, ever, because I've done this like a goofball, never, ever slide down the railings of the stairs. It is a recipe for disaster. It could hurt you and someone else. You do not want to ruin your cruise vacation by sliding down the railings because you've had a little too much to drink or you think it's fun or cute. It's not fun. It's not cute. It's not safe. Don't slide down the railings, and never, ever, ever lean over the edges of the ship or the railings or stand on the railings or think it's fun to stand on your balcony, railing or any deck railing. Never do that. The ship can move suddenly and it can cause a disaster. Stay away from the railings. Never run on the decks of the ship, because if you're running on those decks and they're wet or they have sea salt or salt air on them, you are going to slip in your bare feet, or if you have some kind of shoes on, you're still going to slip, and you do not want to ruin your vacation. Never put your hands near any type of door or that moves or opens or closes automatically. So sometimes on these ships, there's sliding doors. When you walk up to it, it senses you're there and it opens. If you just stand there without consciousness and you're, blah, blah, you still need to have a little bit of consciousness when you're on vacation. Even though you're relaxing, you still got to be aware of your surroundings. And if you put your hand in that door, I've firsthand experienced a lot of pain. Don't do that. Don't hog chairs at the pool deck. If you're going to be there, stay there. Or if you're going to be gone for a few minutes, that's fine. But hours and hours and hours, do not put your towels down and other stuff and hog those chairs while you're not there. Don't do that. And finally, never, ever, ever be rude to the staff or the crew, ever. The cruise staff and the crew are there to make your vacation as pleasant and as memorable as possible for you, your family, your friends, whoever's with you. And I've seen people be rude to the crew, and it is completely unacceptable. The crew is doing the best that they can. There could be something that comes up that you need to address with guest services, or maybe the maitre d', or maybe somebody in housekeeping or whatever, but do it respectfully. Never yell at the crew, scream at the crew. Never, just never, 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 never yell at the crew. Now, the last thing I want to talk to you about is how we tie this all into yoga, and that's finding your purpose. What is your purpose for your vacation? We talked a little bit about this when you're starting to plan, like where are you going and what area, what destination are you going to? You don't want to pick a trip just because and just, we'll just pick something and then we'll just fly around and we'll kind of just like unconsciously move. Listen, you always want to have an intention behind what you are doing. That's how you move through your life with purpose. There's something to be said about being spontaneous and letting things flow, but there's another thing about being unprepared or unintentional or unconscious. Like when you put your hand in the door because you're not paying attention. Always pay attention and find the purpose. So for example, this cruise that I'm taking here in about a week, the purpose of this cruise is not for sightseeing. It's not to cross off bucket list items. It's not to be adventurous while I'm in port. It is to completely unwind, relax, and unplug. That's what the purpose of this vacation is. We are going to relax, to unplug, and to enjoy time where I can recharge and refill my battery. You may want to go on a cruise that is full of adventure and full of things to do nonstop, day in and day out. That's totally fine. I have been on cruises like that. The last cruise I was on was like that. I enjoyed a lot of exploration. I did a lot of things I wanted to do. And the next cruise to Alaska will also be like that because I have items I want to do in those ports. This cruise is not like that. So as I'm on this cruise, the purpose of going is going to be in the front of my mind. Not just traveling around unconsciously, hoping or wishing or praying and wishing on a falling star that everything's just going to be great and I put no effort into it. There still is a little effort required in having a blast because the reason I'm saying that is because you need to have presence about you and purpose about you to fully enjoy and immerse yourself in what you're doing. If you're participating in things unconsciously, then you're not participating in them because you're not conscious to it. You're not present to it. So find your purpose and enjoy yourselves, but do it with a purpose because you deserve that. You don't deserve a vacation that has lots of arguing and fighting and somebody wants to do this and somebody wants to do that and then you feel like you didn't get your money's worth and blah, 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 and there's drama and there's all these other problems. You don't want any of that. Move consciously, move with purpose, enjoy yourselves. And you will notice the purpose might shift a little bit as you get on board and as you're going through your day, you're gonna have to make adjustments, such as life, but your vacation should be purposeful because then it will become memorable. If you're not paying attention, there will be no memorable because your head is in the clouds. You're not present. And you want to be present because you deserve to have the best time. And I hope that these tips, tricks, planning, little hacks I've given you over these last couple of episodes are going to help you plan your cruise vacation because you deserve the best one out there. Or any vacation or any time off. You deserve that. Now, a little programming note before we conclude. The next episode of this podcast, the final episode of this season 3, will be the next episode, the very last one. We will have a short break and then be back for season 4 in the summer. And so I highly encourage you to tune in to the next episode as well and revisit anything that you have not listened to yet or watched from season 3 because there was some phenomenal content this year and I'm so proud of everything that this podcast has brought to me and hopefully to you. So I'm getting ready to go on this cruise. I have some more packing to do, but by the time you see this, I will be back. And don't worry, there will be some recaps on how this all went and what I learned, because I always feel like I learn something every time I travel. So until I see you on the next podcast, wishing you a lot of light and a lot of love and a lot of purpose. You deserve all of that. See you soon, my friends.